Hey there, and welcome to this episode of the Home Services Success TV Network. I don't know what we're going to call it yet, but I am here today with another amazing guest who has accomplished great things in the home service industry and has been willing enough to come and share some of his knowledge with us. Today I have Jason Shadowen with Electrical Detectives. He's in Southern Illinois. Jason, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So maybe just fill us in a little bit on kind of like who you are, a little bit on the background of your company, just so we have an idea of who we're talking to today.
Yeah, so our company, Electrical Detectives, has actually been around since 1968. It was my wife's grandfather that started the business back then. And after he passed away, my wife's parents took over, changed the name, and then roughly about 2003 or so, my wife came into the business. I came into the business about 1998. So she came into the business around 2003. We became part owners, and then eventually in 2009 bought her parents out. So the cool thing is that it's a third generation family-owned business, and that's what I really love about our business, is that we can say that. So that's a little bit about that. Me, myself, I've been an electrician now since 1998 and kind of married into the business. So I love what I do. It's a great job, that's for sure.
Awesome, man. So you love what you do. Tell me a little bit about why do you love what you do?
I think probably one of the number one things I really love about my job is that I get to interact with people every day. It's a different person. It's a different home. It's a different situation. And I get to make homes safer. You know, that's probably one of the biggest joys out of my day is going home knowing that I've made somebody's home safer and someplace that's more comfortable to live in. You know, that's probably one of the biggest things I really enjoy about this.
Awesome, man. So let's kind of get into, I don't know, things that you can offer value-wise that will help people. And so you mentioned that, you know, you love making homes safer. Yeah. When you got into the business in the 90s, were you thinking about making money, or were you thinking about that deeper why just at that time initially when you started?
Yeah, great question. No, when I got started in this, we were doing primarily new construction. So we were about 90% new construction and just 10% service work. And we did not focus on the service work whatsoever. So I don't want to say safety wasn't in the mind, but it was definitely on the back burner. You know, it was more about, you know, the general contractor and working for the contractor and that aspect of it. It wasn't until about 2004 that we really saw that there was a huge need for service work. You know, we were turning away service work like crazy. So that's when we started focusing in. Right at the beginning of 2005, we hit it hard with doing service work. And in about a year and a half, we completely flipped our business from new construction to service. And it's made a huge difference in our business. From culture aspects of things to, you know, keeping that customer at the top of our mind, you know, and what's best for them and what's best for their home electrically, as far as making the home comfortable, more safer, all those things. So yeah, back then it was more about working for the man, you know, working for the contractor and not necessarily the homeowner.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
So you said something cool that as an entrepreneur, you know, we're always given there's always these bright, shiny objects everywhere, right? And it's like, oh, we could do this, we could do that. So when you were doing more of the contractor work, and then you started to see this opportunity in the service, on the service side of things, how did you make that decision to pursue that as opposed to, or how did you make your decision to do that? Because, you know, there probably could have been 4 or 5 or 6 things that you could have done. But, you know, was there a process that you remembered, or just anything that stood out to you?
Yeah, another great question. For us, we actually joined a trade organization back then in 2004 that focused more on the service side of things. But the other thing is working for the general contractor, you know, the gross profits were not that great, you know, and actually in 2004, we were in a pretty good negative in that year. So not only was there a need that we saw for the service aspect of things, but also a need to make sure that our company is going to be sustained for the future. And what do we do to make sure that this company is here for generations to come? And so with the combination of those, joining the organization and making sure that we're here for years to come, you know, that's why we started focusing on the service side of things.
Awesome, man. So you wanted to be here for the long haul, right? You wanted to be around for a long time, which I'm guessing part of that is supporting your family.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I got a great question for you. And before when we were getting ready for this and I was writing all the questions down, I didn't even think about this, but you work with your wife.
I do. Yeah.
And so I know there's a lot of people out there that are in a similar situation, working with their significant other or working with family. Any thoughts on like tips of how to make that work really well?
Yeah. We've been together in this business now since 2003, and it's got its ups and downs, that's for sure. But the benefit, I think, in the long run is that we get to spend more time together than most husbands and wives do. When we take business trips, we're together. When we take vacations, we're together. We've just got that really good relationship. She takes care of a lot of the office stuff, and I take care of more of the field aspect and a lot of the marketing aspect. So she does a really good job in her specialties, and I do a really good job in my specialties. So we both have our strengths and weaknesses that really complement each other well.
Awesome. And did you guys kind of define those, saying, okay, you're really great at doing this, so you do this and I'll do this, and then kind of create some separation there so that you know who owns it? Or did that happen naturally?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think it really did just happen more naturally. She's a great numbers person. She's good with numbers, and I've always been better with marketing. As far as electrician, I pride myself in being an exceptional electrician, especially when it comes to residential service and troubleshooting. So, yeah, I think it just happened kind of more naturally. Yeah.
Cool. And, I've had the pleasure of meeting both of you and getting to know you over the last, it's probably been a little bit less than a year now, but every interaction that I've had with both of you, one thing that I see from an outsider is you guys have a huge mutual respect for each other.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in an environment where you're both asked the same question, you both have this, that respect where you kind of let her answer in whatever way she would, and she does the same for you. And then you create whatever the solution that's best for the business. And so I just wanted to point out that at least I can see that from the outside. So that's really, really cool.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Cool. So something else that we talked about right before the interview started is what you did this past weekend. And something that I think entrepreneurs can so easily forget about, especially when it's a younger business or maybe they're going through a really busy time, is rejuvenation and rest and relaxation and having fun. So share with us a little bit about what you did this past weekend.
Yeah. So last week we were doing a rewire, and I had myself and 3 other guys on the rewire, and we had put in 4 days, we put in 47 hours. And so it was just a long, gratifying week in the fact that, we completely took somebody's house and redid it to make it 100% safe. That was a really huge benefit. So since we got that done in 4 days and we'd already put in quite a few hours, I gave everybody Friday off. And so my wife and I and my youngest son, we're part of a Jeep club here locally. And so we took off on some trails and found some mud to play in. And there was about 9 Jeeps that went that day. And so we just went and had a good fun day, playing in the mud. You got to take the time. That's for sure. We find so often that we just can get, as business owners especially, get enveloped in our business, and we forget to take time for ourselves, our spouses, our children, just to take time for us, So that was one of the fun things that we did Friday. A couple weekends ago, my wife and I took off and went to a marriage retreat. I call it a retreat, but a marriage retreat that is up in New Jersey that our business coach held. So you got to take time for yourself. That's for sure.
Awesome, man. And so, when you're out there doing that, when you're out there playing in the mud and jeeping and stuff like that, do you think about the business? Like, are you stressed about it most of the time? And if the answer is no, were you at some point in the past? And I don't know, did you ever find a way to kind of like overcome that so that you're truly present in the moment, enjoying it?
I'm getting better. That's the answer.
Awesome.
It's one of those that, we have service calls on the schedule, and there's those customers that we definitely got to get to, but there was no pressing calls that were on the schedule. And so that's how we were able to take that time away and get out there. Do you stress about the business? Yeah. There's going to be times that, if money gets tight or calls get low, but that's when you get on the phone and you start making those outbound calls and you start calling those faithful customers and, our club members to get those things on the schedule and to take care of those times so it doesn't become stressful. It's just a learning process in the long run.
Cool. I love that. Yeah. We got to take time for ourselves. We're business owners for a reason, so that we can create our own schedule. So I love that you guys are I love that you're consistently doing it. Not only did you do something fun this weekend, but you mentioned, a couple of weeks ago, you did something else for you and your wife as well. So
definitely.
Very cool. All right. So you've been in this business for quite a while now. If you could go back however many years you want, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, I don't know, 30 years, however long it is there anything that you would have told yourself, not maybe necessarily have changed about your life, but just knowing what you know now, looking back at where you are, anything you would tell yourself?
One of my favorite quotes is plan or be planned for. Probably one of my favorite quotes. I've remembered that quote above probably any other quote. And for me, it just means, if I would have taken the time back then to plan next year, to plan 5 years, to plan 10 years down the road, my life would be completely different. There's still a lot of those things that I've went through that I'm glad I went through because it was a huge learning experience. But if I had it to do over again, I would plan better, especially for retirement aspect. We just started planning probably 3 years ago and started saving for our retirement. I'm 37 now. That's going to be right around the corner. Do I want to fully retire? No, I don't think I could ever fully retire. It would be something that, I want to help other contractors, other electricians, or, even with this business, when we get to that point, be able to step back and have somebody else run it, but still be there as that consigliere, be able to still help, so plan or be planned for. That would be my life experience quote, I think, if it was on my tombstone.
That's a great one, man. And so you're doing, just by taking the time out of your busy day to do this interview, that's what you're doing. You're giving back, you're helping other people. Yeah. So we definitely appreciate it. Cool. So kind of prepping to wrap up for this. Is there something that you're just great at, and when you look around at the business and there's something that you do, you're just you know what, I got that. Anything that comes to mind when I say that, and then any tips on how to help other people experience something like that, whether it's the same thing or something a little bit different?
That's a good question. I would say I pride myself at being a good troubleshooter, especially in homes. Having that new construction background really helped me in today's world in the service industry to be able to kind of see behind the walls and say, if I ran this wire this way, this is probably how I would do it. Or if there's a problem here, this is where I would start. So I would say troubleshooting is probably one of my greater skills. I am learning to be a better communicator and to create culture in our business. So that would probably be a good second, would be to create culture in your business. I know another interview we were just talking about, culture seems to be a huge thing in today's businesses, creating that company that people are attracted to and people want to come work for you because they hear, man, he's so cool to work for. Man, did you hear about electrical detectives? Did you hear what they did for their employees? Or, hey, did you hear about what happened here the other day at the office? So creating culture is definitely a huge thing in businesses today.
Awesome, man. I love that. The people side of things just to me is so important in business. And I love hearing other people talk about it.
Yep.
So, cool, man. Well, Jason, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to come share some of your knowledge and experience with the group. If people want to connect with you, how can they tell us, where can we find your business? How can we connect with you?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm located in Southern Illinois. I've offered many contractors to come visit, and I'll give you a tour of our beautiful area down here. You can connect with me on Facebook, through the marketing group that you've created. Personally on Facebook, you can find me, Jason Shadowen. Look us up, our website, electricaldetectives.com. There's all kinds of ways to connect with me, especially through social media. So, yeah, I'd be glad to talk with you and see how I can help you out further.
Awesome, man. Cool. Well, Jason, thanks again so much for coming on. And just to do a real quick recap of some of the big kind of takeaways that I got from our call today, is one of the things you said about your why, having this really powerful why of, making homes safe. I mean, that's really why you're doing it. And the money kind of comes as a secondary.
Yeah.
Family and business, working so closely with your wife and being a third generation company. You gave some great tips on just how to work with a significant other. I mean, I think that's so important. And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, don't do that very well.
Yeah.
And then taking time for yourself, taking time to enjoy the fruits of the labors that you've created.
Yeah.
That's one that I constantly still work on that one. I work on it as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
So yeah. Did I miss anything?
No, you hit it on the head. You had some great questions, and I really appreciate you having me.
Awesome, man. Well, everybody, again, Jason Shadowen, Electrical Detectives in Southern Illinois. If you want to connect with him, you can find him in the Facebook marketing group that we've created, or by the other ways that he gave you as well. Thanks so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day.